Welcome to Discography, the music podcast that delivers the objective truth about the entire discography of every single artist and band that ever existed. I'm Dave Gebrow.
And I'm Joe Kennedy.
And we're doing this thing. We're doing it big time, and we're doing it right now.
Right, or in your case, some time ago.
That's right, that's right.
But right now, for us, though, which is exciting.
It is. Now, we want to explain just the extent to which this show is overtaking our lives. So not only are we doing the show, which is a weekly thing, and we both have, this is currently, I guess you would call it a side gig, even though it really is not a side gig anymore.
It's not even really a side hustle.
No.
It's just a hustle.
Yeah. So we're doing the weekly episodes. We have families, we have young kids, and we have other jobs. But we're also launching a slew of Patreon content coming up, and we're really excited to tell you guys about it, aren't we, Joe?
Yeah, well, some of it's going to be Patreon, but then a good deal of it's going to appear here on the main free one, too. So we've got a couple new shows we're developing, and we're going to release some of those for free so you guys can check them out. And then we're going to have some bonus stuff on Patreon for you super fans, for you cool kids.
But like a ton of stuff. We're pretty thorough in our love for the music. So it's like we are exploding out into all new kinds of brands of content.
Yeah.
We're doing a show called Queasy Listening. We'll be introing that soon.
Yeah, Queasy Listening came from our, sometimes it's really fun to talk about records that we don't like on the show.
But we don't want to be snarky about it. We want to explain why you shouldn't like this.
Well, almost always we're talking about artists that we really like a lot who have maybe made a stinker album. But
right.
These are not necessarily artists that we even like. These are just albums that suck, and they're really fun to talk about, like why something is so bad.
Right. And then you have another show of ours called Rock Cousteau, which is exactly what it sounds like. It is a music super deep dive. It's a buried treasure thing, a single record at a time. Really good stuff that we're going to be introing you to.
And we're kind of taking turns on these shows. So Dave will pick one, and I'll pick one.
It's both of us on the show, but we take turns with the selection. Then we have One and Done and Two and Through.
Two distinctly different shows.
Very different in their in their conception. However, it's just an artist that has done one album and that's it, or two albums and that's it. And we're also going to have a new release segment as well as things that we can't even talk about yet because they're only just now getting underway. And we will be having other people having their own shows under the Discography umbrella.
So you'll be seeing some of these pop up on Thursdays. So make sure to refresh your Discography feed and see what's up there, because these are going to be rolling out in the next month or so.
Yeah, because the crazier the world gets, the harder we work on this thing so we can create sort of an artistic bunker away from the madness of the world. That being said, truthfully, we really do need whatever kind of support you guys can give. If you love the show, if you love a particular episode and you know somebody who would love it, it doesn't cost anything to send it along and brighten somebody's day.
Word of mouth is kind of our best weapon at this time. So if you're into the show, tell some people about us, and
it'll keep being free. It'll keep being amazing. We just are at the stage where we could use a helping hand to get to the peakiest of peaks. Okay, enough of that. Back to business. First things first, you guys need to know just how seriously we take this shit.
Discography is heavily researched, and the music is always reassessed with fresh ears.
No, but not just albums either. We do a searingly honest deep dive analysis of EPs, singles, relevant live albums, if it fits into the framework, solo work, you name it, we do it.
Everything is slapped with an objectively accurate rating from 0 to 5 stars,
which allows us all to come face to face with the true shape of an artist's overall arc.
Today on Discography, we'll be turning the spray cans on Run the Jewels.
Wanking in a cave, turn to Yankee and the Brave.
Right.
So, these guys... I am admittedly, frankly, I don't respond with favor to each and every hip-hop record that comes my way, but these guys immediately made an impact on me, and I definitely felt their power as a duo immediately. I'd heard their work separately as solo artists,
Mm-hmm.
together they do something that they can't do alone.
Yeah, well, they've been my favorite hip hop act in the game for quite a while, ever since the second record, really. But I really like all their records. There's not really one that I don't like at all. And I think I'm really drawn to. I love great beat making. I really geek out on amazing beat making, and there's so much of that in their catalog. But they're both really equal contributors, because the great beat making, but then it just would not be the same without Killer Mike's.
Yeah, Killer Mike's voice. I mean,
his rapid fire delivery, and he's got just a hugely outsized personality.
Have you seen him live?
I have not seen them live, no, but I've seen a lot of clips though. I haven't seen them in person.
They were fantastic. They really were.
So he's an incredibly charismatic MC, and then LP, who is the beat maker, is a perfect foil to him as an MC. He's a little bit more low key, but also a very highly clever lyricist, and yeah, they've got really all of the elements for me. Everything I kind of want out of a hip hop record. I guess I'm kind of more of a classicist with hip hop. Mm-hmm. The sort of Run the Jewels has a foot in the past and a foot in the future. I feel like they're kind of built around a lot of their sounds are built around classic hip hop sounds, but it's also very forward looking and very unique and creative.
It's going to be interesting to watch them grow. This is one of those bands. Probably the band that we're doing at the earliest part of their career, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, that we've done so far, yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see them grow, because although
they're almost 10 years in now, I guess. They're 10 years in.
Yeah, 10 years in. But interestingly, they come from a place of very lofty ideals, and they've upheld those ideals thus far 100%.
I've been a fan, and preparing for this show, I made me kind of think a lot about why I like them so much, and what about their stuff kind of tickles my brain in particular. And it's just really, everything is just very, very musical. There's a really high level of quality control, very high focus. Their sense of rhythm. I mean, both of them, the arranging skills in the songs, how they really form real songs. These records are really endlessly inspiring to me. I listen to them in headphones a lot and just crank them and
the main thing for me
really get into the details
is the power.
Yeah, sure.
There's an intensity in their music that you don't come across every day. It really is something special. And I had heard, I didn't avidly follow both guys beforehand, but I'd heard a bunch of LP stuff and a few Killer Mike tracks, including That's Life, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. They always had something to them, but again, it's the two of them coming together. It's a very quick run-up. Basically, this guy, Jason DeMarco, who was a Cartoon Network executive, he may still be, in 2011, he introduced them. So, that's where phase one begins, which we're still in.
Right. They had kind of both had, they were both kind of veterans at that point by the time they even met and started working together. LP, he founded the label Def Jux, kind of it was sort of a golden age in retrospect of indie alternative hip hop. There was a bunch of labels like that. Def Jux had Cannibal Ox and RJD2 and
I love RJD2.
Aesop Rock and, LP himself. There were other labels like Stone's Throw was around then, and Ninja Tune and Mo Wax. Yeah. So, kind of a golden age of alternative hip hop and
who I love? Edan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great record. That's a
Beauty and
record.
the Beat. That's a classic.
That's kind of a forgotten one, but great record.
Definitely, that should be a rock gusto.
So, LP had been around on the scene, and then he's New York City all the way. He's kind of has Lithuanian, Irish, and Cajun descent. Brooklyn born. His dad was a jazz musician. Very New York City. And Killer Mike's from the Atlanta scene. Also a very rich scene in its own right. That's the scene where Outkast came from. He's on a bunch of those classic Outkast records. And the marriage is it's like the old Reese's peanut butter thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's the marriage of the Brooklyn sound and the Atlanta sound, and works very well.
So phase one, which we're still in, is the first 10 years, 2012 to the present. So the very first thing, and I don't think there's anything wrong with us actually. Looking at this is their first collaboration. Killer Mike in 2012 made a record called Rap Music, and it was produced by LP. This is basically the the seeds are in place now for Run the Jewels. But it was Killer Mike's fifth record. Came out in May 2012.
Really good hip hop album.
Yeah, it is.
Widely acclaimed when it came out. Breakthrough, I think, for Killer Mike artistically. His other records are cool. There's a bunch of really good singles and even stuff that were on mixtapes. There's a song called that I love of his. I always loved, called "A Dope Story." That's it's from a mixtape. Really cool track. I love the song "Ric Flair." It's from the album Pledge, which is kind of an extended, has a bunch of extended samples of the wrestler Ric Flair. So he'd done some pretty creative, pretty forward-thinking hip-hop in his own right, and he always had the great booming voice and dexterity and all that. But this was kind of a step forward for him artistically. He kind of had drifted around a bunch of record labels, and this one has a real kind of focus to it. It's a really solid hip hop album, and kind of in lots of places very proto Run the Jewels.
I think it's hard hitting for sure, but only on half of this am I really blown away by the notion of something real cooking in the collaboration between these guys.
Yeah.
There's some great tracks. To me, they're scattered through the record. Untitled, Go, Reagan, Ghetto Gospel, rap music. Those are the standouts for me. Rap music especially, great statement of purpose.
Some of these have a lot of the Run the Jewels kind of elements in them. Untitled to me has that kind of chemistry. The track is really layered, has a really kind of tight rhythm.
The low end is just furious on that.
Yeah, it kind of has a proper hook that holds it together. Some of the elements kind of coming into place here. Reagan is pretty cool. That doesn't really sound so Run the Jewels but just a sort of straight up political polemic. Killer Mike also he's a very outspoken activist, and he's very eloquent and passionate about his politics.
The main thing that hit me
was,
he
puts it across in the music in a way that's really, really effective. I think it's really kind of it's sort of an heir to Chuck D or something.
I couldn't help but feel the butthole tingling low end. That was the thing that was the takeaway for me, because I was, I had it pretty much cranked in my Volkswagen.
Yeah, when at their best, I think one of the reasons they work well together, that LP and Killer Mike work well together. It's kind of it's even on this record, although not as much, but it's kind of all the best things that you like from your favorite hip hop records. The style of production, the style of rhyming. It's kind of they take the best elements.
So what do you give this? I'm curious. I think you like it better.
I give it 3.5.
I give it 3. Okay, but that same year though, they also worked on a track from LP's album Cancer for Cure, Tougher, Colder, Killer. This song is awesome. I mean, I like this more than even the high points on Killer Mike's record. Yeah,
this one sounds very Run the Jewels like.
Yeah, and I mean the beats sound like bombs bursting, for Christ's sake.
Really cool production on this. The album Cancer for Cure is a pretty interesting record. It's maybe the most, I would say, it has kind of a cinematic sort of feel. It's all of LP's albums are a little bit different. He never really repeated himself. They all kind of have a different kind of feel. That one has a very action movie cinematic kind of vibe to it, but also very tastefully done. But yes,
just in terms of this song, I give it. You're gonna make fun of me, but it's true. 4 3/4 stars.
I gave it 4.5. So
oh my, okay, good. We're kind of on the same page.
Yeah, it's super cool song. I think important.
It is very
to
important
know that one, and they're
to me. This is the real birth. It's not Killer Mike's record. It's that song.
Yeah, right.
This feels like the beginning of Run the Jewels. So then we end.
That's like the first time Ringo sits at the kit.
Right, exactly. So then their first album comes out, and they're all titled numerically because they're obviously huge Peter Gabriel fans.
Wouldn't they just have been titled just Run the Jewels, each one, and then a different picture in the front?
Yeah, but then on Spotify, it's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So.
Oh, okay. Right. Okay. I'll buy that.
Okay, cool.
So the one thing that most Run the Jewels records have, well, at least 75% of them, is that they're pretty tight, economical records. They're 10, 11-ish songs, under 40 minutes.
Yeah, short.
What I love about this record, and really all of their best stuff, is that the beats themselves are kind of catchy. You can almost kind of you can kind of hum the beats, right. The kick and snare patterns are actually very memorable, which is kind of hard to do, really.
And then you got the two of them rapping together, and the intensity of their combined flow is just, it really knocks you off your feet.
Yeah, and there's a lot of great production hooks, little elements in the production that are really catchy. And it's like I kind of mentioned earlier, it's kind of has a foot in the past and a foot in the future. It's like, it's very respectful of the history of hip hop, but also looking to do things that are new and with attitude to spare, confidence and attitude to spare.
Yeah,
these records are all very confident.
Very confident.
Yeah.
But look, unquestionably on the first record, all the blocks are in place. But for me, this record isn't quite as consistent as the ones coming up. There's a few songs that I absolutely love. My favorite on the record is Sea Legs. Sea Legs is awesome. Puff Chest, Boastagram.
Yeah, Sea Legs has the great bounce to it.
I love the cannibalism lyrics. I don't know if it's because this emanated from the Cartoon Network nexus, but it feels playful, even though it's like super violent and
that's
crazy.
another good example of how their two styles of emceeing work so well together, because the opening verse is LP and it has a certain kind of bounce to it, and then when Mike's verse comes in, he's got a whole other take on what the rhythm and feel of the song is. It's like a whole other completely different rhythmic approach, and it just like the whole thing just opens up when his voice comes in. They work really well together as MCs. Also,
great Prince Paul appearance on Twin Hype Back. That's a great song. A couple other ones I love, but this is definitely not my favorite album of theirs. And it kind of brings up this odd thing for me, where their even numbered albums to me are just like knockout classics, and the odd ones, the elements are in place, but I'm not going back to those. I hear them a couple times, and I kind of go back to the even numbered ones.
Yeah, this one I like a lot. This one to me is a very strong debut. Another thing that kind of on the Run the Jewels records compared to LP's solo records prior, there's something kind of more accessible about Run the Jewels music.
Definitely.
It's not like in the world of alternative hip hop, sort of.
Not
it's
at
just
all.
like
No,
straight
they're
up
going for the Raptors, back row. It's going for the back row.
Yeah, that was really noticeable. Like listening to this all in a row, like checking out his solo records than this. The how much more accessible it is. I love Banana Clipper.
I was just going to say that
good.
Those horror movie synth stabs between the verses are just awesome.
Just the flow from all involved is like Big Boy makes a cameo on that, fits right in on that. I like this record a lot. I think this is really.
I give it 3
strong.
stars. I know you're going to like it more.
Yeah, I gave it 4.
Okay. So then we hit in 2014 Run the Jewels 2. This is a whole different kind of thing. This has received basically unanimous acclaim.
Yeah. Probably their most overall acclaimed record, I would say.
Yeah, and for very, very good reason. It is ridiculously intense and also ridiculously consistent. Yeah,
so, I'd say in general, they have a very high floor. Like, they pretty much like everything is at least, there's nothing that's like embarrassing. Or
nothing.
They have a very high sense of quality control. And on this one, they just really had so much great material. Again, it's
the leap in quality is immediately palpable. I mean, these guys are so locked in. The music is
everything
unbelievably, almost comically urgent.
Yeah, everything is just more on this record.
Right,
the productions are more detailed. They're kind of more hard hitting. They're kind of like the creative. There's more creative kind of production touches. The 2 records that are the 2, I think, consensus best records. Both have the thing in common, just sonically, where they have this really detailed low end, where if you're listening to them in really good headphones, the clarity and the richness of the low end of the record is really like just a great achievement.
And that's all LP, right? That's all.
Yeah, I think he mixes these and everything. I think he's doing all the production on this pretty much. Yeah.
So we kick off with Jeopardy. So that's totally fucking intense. Like a sick Mort Garson sample too.
Yeah, so
he's doing some like serious crate digging here.
Yeah, and also I think some of these are synths that LP is playing, so it's kind of a blend.
Okay.
And so there's great samples, but then he's also got a real touch with analog synths. A lot of like this song is kind of like has the main bass figure in it. It's like almost sounds like it was like kind of done on Moog Taurus pedals or something. It has like this great buzzy, deep, like really fat analog synth kind of sound.
It's a great opener.
Massive sense of like scale of it. It just seems like massively enormous.
Yeah. And then Oh My Darling, Don't You Cry follows that up. So that was the second single. Still kind of downshifting in low ride mode. we have like some insanely intense stuff coming up.
That one, the "Oh My Darling" one, that's really like the marriage of New York and Atlanta. That really is like the mashup of those elements.
I want to talk about the sample on that one because we're still in really bizarre hippie territory. Joe Bird and the Field Hippies. Joe Bird was in the United States of America. "You Can't Ever Come Down." The sample of that is threaded through the whole song. Super cool. I mean, the guy obviously knows music. Great song. Not quite breaking a sweat, though, because then we're into Blockbuster Night Part 1.
Great stoner headphones tune.
Unbelievable.
Classic
Good.
stoner headphones.
Gets a hell of a lot more intense here. You got to love "Top of the Morning, My Fist to Your Face" is fucking Folgers. You got to love that line. Yeah. That is a great song. And then, in all likelihood, the song that will, in my eyes, remain the greatest thing they've ever done, which is "Close Your Eyes and Count to Fuck."
Yeah, that's iconic.
With Zach.
I remember being completely blown away when I heard that when it came out. It's long been a favorite of mine. Zach De La Rocha, we just talk about him a little bit. Rap rock is not really the coolest genre in the world.
You're being very kind.
but man, he's great. He really is he is on such a other level than the other schnooks from the rap.
But
rock.
I honestly,
I guess it's not really.
I don't listen to that band, but him with them, that's a whole different proposition.
Yeah,
and you just told me that there's something in the works with these guys.
Well, it's rumor, I guess.
I like the rumor.
Rage the Jewels. They've discussed maybe doing that.
It's a better idea than Meow the Jewels. But interesting. This is an anti-cop song. A lot of rap songs are. But Mike's dad was a cop.
Right.
So Mike's dad knew it was a corrupt line of work and advised Mike to not follow in his footsteps. Mm-hmm. So that's an interesting subtext of the song. Again, we're 4 songs in. Everything's great. Track 5, "All My Life," as in I've been this way all my life. Not a downshift in intensity, a downshift in tempo, though. Very, very well-paced record.
It's really at this point of the record where it's just like, come on. This is so good. This is getting out of hand.
And it doesn't even stop, because the next song is "Lie, Cheat, Steal."
Right.
That's an amazing song. It could be my favorite rhyming on the whole record. Yeah. It's so intense.
"All My Life" is so good.
Yeah.
That one's just all the great synth stuff, really amazing woolly synth shit and feedback guitars and just fucking brilliant track.
See, this record is so good we can't even sequentially go through it. We go forward, we go back.
Yeah,
we'll go all over the place.
I was still thinking about how good it was when you were talking about the other
one. And I'm sorry if I'm ever moving too fast for you. Look, the first half of the record is better than the second half, but it's splitting hairs because on the second half you still have "All Due Respect," which again, I don't listen to anything Travis Barker does, but Travis Barker's on the song, and him on drums seals it. It's one of the best tracks on the record.
Yeah, I couldn't really tell which part of it was him. I guess the main drum loop is him.
I'm guessing
right?
It's, yeah.
Yes, I mean, that one's kind of like a kitchen sinky kind of production, but it totally works, really frantic. This record, again, very economical. 11 songs, 39 minutes. Doesn't really doesn't. There's nothing on there that doesn't need to be on there.
Right.
I really, like I was saying before, I really geek out on beat making.
The music is incredible.
This is a master class of beat making.
It is. It is. The album is a masterpiece. I give it 4.5 stars.
I gave this one 5.
You could definitely convince me it's a 5.
I mean, I think it's hands down one of the best hip hop records of the decade.
Yeah,
on the very short list of the best hip hop records of that decade.
So then they kind of had a diversion in 2015. They did a remix album called "Meow the Jewels." So basically, it was.
Kind of started as a joke.
It did, but then it really took on a life of its own. All the instruments are replaced with sounds of cats, right? All of the instruments,
supposedly, but it doesn't really sound like it.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like it.
It's a remix album. They got a bunch of different people to remix tracks. And it sounds like to me like they were just like, okay, make this remix, but throw some cat sounds in when you make the remix.
So they launched a Kickstarter campaign, requested $40,000 to do it, and the campaign raised over $60,000, which they apparently donated to charity.
Right, and the charity specifically was a charity for people who have suffered from police brutality. I remember watching this project unfold in real time. As like it was started as kind of a joke, and then it was they started the Kickstarter, and then they raised the money really fast to make it, and then they actually made it, and then it came out. I remember all this very clearly, all that happening, and the results a little underwhelming. But
it's totally. Look, I'm not reviewing it. To me, it's NA.
Not right. NA for me too. So.
I honestly don't understand why the idea progressed beyond just an initial idea born of way too much weed.
But you gotta give credit for someone actually doing
it. Yeah. There you have it. A huge Kickstarter overage. Right. I want you all to know that Joe and I don't know about Joe. I listen to every friggin' second of this thing, so you don't have to. You're welcome. Similar unnecessary albums include the bonus disc of Olivia Tremor Control's Dusk at Cubist Castle.
And the MC Scat Cat record.
That's right.
That's probably the closest record to this.
All right. Agreed.
I don't know if you guys know this, but I try to work in MC Scat Cat into wherever possible.
Finally, it's not an awkward
I'm not
fit.
going to miss this opportunity.
It's not an awkward fit, finally.
If you don't know who that is, that's the cat that sang with Paul Abdul. He has a record.
He does. 2015 from Rubble King's soundtrack. That's a 2015 documentary that depicts gang violence in the Bronx in the 1970s. So they did the Rubble King's theme, Dynamite, for a single from the soundtrack. Good stuff. I don't think it's playlist material. It just falls short. I give it 3.5 stars.
I gave it the same, 3.5. It ain't bad.
It's not bad. You want to put it on the playlist? You certainly can.
I would maybe.
You're the only other dude that I would let make that decision.
Okay, well, I'll think about it.
All right, so 2016, Run the Jewels 3 comes out. This has guest appearances from Danny Brown, Tunde Adebimpe, Zach De La Rocha again, and Kamasi Washington. There were 3 singles, Talk to Me, 2100, and Legend Has It. Again, a free download.
Now, this one's a little bit longer. This one's 14 songs, 51 minutes, and I think it suffers from that a little bit.
Yeah.
I think it would have been a better record at like 11 songs, 40 minutes.
Yeah, this is an underwhelming record. I actually never go back to this album. Here's what LP had to say. With the magazine Complex. I think that everyone probably expected us to open up with something like Talk to Me, but I think Down was sort of a preface. We're talking about where we were and where we were headed. And I think the song is a thank you from us and a recognition that we're here. And because the album has sort of an epic arc and it's longer and meatier with different transitions, we felt like it was a good spot. It set the table.
No, I do like that opener, Down, quite a lot. I always liked that song. I remember when this first came out, that was kind of my favorite thing on it.
Yeah, I mean,
this record, it's the weakest of the 4, I would say.
Yeah.
And the main
spoiler alert.
The main issue I have with it is that it gets a little samey because the palette seems to kind of shrink. It seems like it's a lot of 808 drums and kind of buzzy analog synth, big ringing kicks, and analog synth is kind of like the sound of the day. And the production is not really quite as varied or as, there aren't as many curveballs that come down.
Right.
It's kind of a lot of the same thing. That said, I really do like, and it's a little bit long. The first half of it's pretty good to me. I like a lot of the first half. By the end, like I had it at 3.5, and then the last few songs, I felt like it kind of overstayed its welcome a little bit. So I ended up downgrading it to 3.
I like it a lot less. To me, like you said, the record's noticeably much longer,
right?
And the music is noticeably shittier and samier. So and for me, it's too low slung and slow grinding to work up a sweat. Mm-hmm. No slight on the message. It's honestly just conveyed with a noticeable lack of intensity this go around, uninspired and way overly penis-centric to thrill my ears in any real way. Okay, so here's my 14 songs. There's only one that I would put on the playlist.
I like way more than one.
Well, we can put however many you like, but Talk to Me is the first single from the record. Great Bose track.
What's weird about the way this is sequenced is that Talk to Me and then the second single, Legend Has It, are back to back, and they sound like the same song.
Right.
But there's a little little interlude in between, and then when it kicks back in, it sounds like it's the same BPM kind of, kind of production.
My notes
world.
On Legend Has It. More boasting, but my eyelids are getting a little heavy by this point.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like the song is resuming, and then those are the 2 lead singles.
Right,
they're both cool. Like I like both songs.
Talk to Me is not even in their top tier. I don't even think. This to me I give it 2 stars, and honestly, I'm being kind of generous. But yeah, I'll stick with the 2.
I would have done 3.5 if it was a little bit shorter. I also really like Call Ticketron a lot. I love the way that the kick only sort of beat in the verses, and that one that's the one where the production style of this record seems to kind of click. That seems like a kind of forward thinking.
And it's funny because in my notes I refer to them as buzzy gnat-like synths. I don't like the music on it. Okay, so a report to the shareholders / kill your masters. Zach De La Rocha is back. And he's the best thing about the track, which underwhelmingly ends with what feels like a classic sophomore slump, but is actually their 3rd time strikeout.
Yeah, well, this is what we rarely.
What do you give it again?
I gave it 3 stars.
3, okay.
But I guess that's not that far apart.
No,
it would have been 3.5, but too long. But,
yeah.
right.
Well, 2016 also brought a remix from a guy named Mickey Snow. Is that how you pronounce his name?
Mike Snow.
Mike Snow.
Mike
Snow. Heart is Full from Mike Snow's 3 EP LP.
Mike Snow, I think, is a band.
It is a band.
I think it's a band of Swedish
pop
dudes.
Band. I give it 2.5 stars. I don't have much to say about it.
I gave it NA because it didn't really feel like RTJ.
It's not canon. All right, so then we're in beautiful territory. So DJ Shadow, who, man, I'm interested. It's going to be a great episode when we finally get to him.
Talk about an crazy arc.
That is a crazy arc. But so his record in 2016, he finally crapped out a great one.
Yeah, damn good record.
Yeah, The Mountain Will Fall is really good. And Nobody Speak is from that. Nobody Speak is just awesome, man. That is just it's the lead single from DJ Shadow's record, and the song is just perfect. Right?
Yeah, you've probably heard it if you're a fan of the show. It's been in some TV ads. I think it was kind of a big song. Yeah, I mean DJ Shadow's kind of a like-minded beat maker to LP. Not exactly in style, but in ambition. I feel like they're both like highly creative A-list beat makers. And great track. They fit on it perfect.
If they made an album filled with tracks like this, it would be a real brain melter.
Yeah, it really is more a bit of Shadow's style. It's kind of
it's like a soul song.
It's like a soul, right.
Horns and that beautiful Morricone like descending guitar figure.
More please though. I would say.
I give this 5 stars.
I'll take any 5 stars for me too. Great song. One of the best singles of that year, hands down. Love it.
2017 brought 3 different songs from all different kinds of things. First, you have Danger Mouse featuring Run the Jewels and Big Boy doing a song called Chase Me off of the Baby Driver soundtrack. One of 3 original tunes that were recorded for the soundtrack to what I believe is a shitty movie. The song's better than the entire rest of the film. Even though the song's not that great, I give it 3 stars.
I give it 3 stars too. 3 stars is pretty good.
Yeah, 3 stars. It's not bad.
I think it's kind of a cinematic. You could see why that was part of a movie.
That movie feels like it was cut to the music.
I don't know the movie. But,
no need. 2017, they did a song for a video game called FIFA 18.
FIFA.
Whatever. And
big sports fan, I see.
Yeah, I guess that's a sports term. I was today years old. Mean Demeanor is the song. 2 stars is the rating.
This one seems serviceable. I gave it 2.5, but sure. I think this is kind of one of the weaker. There's a bunch of these kind of like one-off singles from this. This is kind of one of the weaker ones.
Yeah, it's not
terrible though.
Not terrible. And then the next
they really
one,
do keep a very standard high floor of like not putting out shit that really sucks. They're really like very good at that.
Yeah, but there's a bunch of these are actually just really serviceable, and that's it.
Well, that's what I mean. These are kind of the floor, and the floor is still not bad.
Yeah. So then Static Selecta, admittedly a less great rapper than the 2 of the dudes in Run the Jewels. His LP 8 comes out in 2017 and Put Jewels on It has Run the Jewels on it. 2.5 stars.
Quality Control again, 3 stars. They're even when they're guesting, even when they're just, they bring it.
And again, that next year, just a couple songs shot out on a couple different thingamajiggles. In the first part of the year, you have Supercut LP Remix, Lord featuring Run the Jewels. This is not my favorite thing of all time.
This I NA'd because this also doesn't really feel like a Run the Jewels thing.
It's kind of like a trip hop track with
ominous synthy kind of dark wavy hip hop thing. It's fine. It's a remix of a Lorde thing. It's it doesn't seem like one of their
I give
tracks.
it 2 stars. Okay. 2018 also brought us "Let's Go," the Royal We from the Venom soundtrack. Not included on the soundtrack LP. It is in the movie, but I give it a floor rating of 2 stars.
I gave this 2.5, and my note says that we're fishing pretty deep in the barrel.
Yes. Without a doubt.
Maybe just a few fish left.
2019, they seemingly did not get out of bed because they had only an appearance on Danny Brown's record, You Know What I'm Saying, on the song 3 Tears. 2.5 stars.
That one I kind of liked. It doesn't really feel like Run the Jewels, but I do kind of like it in general. I kind of like the off-kilter kind of drunken sort of beat. You don't like that drunken?
Not like Danny Brown.
All right, well,
there's hearing his voice for just a couple seconds.
He's a strong flavor.
He is a strong flavor.
I give it 3.
So 2020 was a great year for them. Not a great year for the planet, but a great year for them. We started out with Forever featuring Travis Barker. That was a single. And honestly, their first playlist-worthy song since 2016's Nobody Speak. It's about time. It's a 4-star song.
You like that one better than I did. This one seemed to kind of blend in with a lot of the other kind of odds and sod tracks from this period. I gave it 3, which is still, again, pretty solid because they're always, they're always.
Okay, so Run the Jewels 4 comes out in 2020, and finally we're back in territory that's familiar and desirable.
Yeah, so I love this record and was really obsessed with it when it came out and listened to it constantly, and I kind of know it really inside and out.
Let me say first off, let me just provide this little bit of context. So the original album release date was June 5th, 2020. For everyone that could recall what was going on the planet at that time, besides COVID, because of the protests that against police brutality that were going on all over the place, that were sparked by George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery, and the shooting of Breonna Taylor, they decided to release the record 2 days early. The note that accompanied it read, "Fuck it, why wait? The world is infested with bullshit. So here's something raw to listen to while you deal with it all. We hope it brings you some joy. Stay safe and hopeful out there, and thank you for giving 2 friends the chance to be heard and do what they love. With sincere love and gratitude, Jamie and Mike."
Yeah, right. So this record, the sheer sonic quality of it is just really inspiring to me. It's like it feels like LP as a producer has kind of hit even another level here. It's not quite as like deep production wise as Run the Jewels 2.
Yeah. But I feel like it was a course correction from 3.
The sonics of this record are unreal. Like there's 3 amazing iconic singles: Yankee and the Brave, Ooh La La, and JUST. All incredibly catchy, like earworm songs. And then
about Holy Kalamafuck.
Well, yeah, that one wasn't one of the singles, but but the next tier of songs below the 3 singles are all also incredibly
awesome. Yeah, really, really.
I mean, this is a kind of a return to a more sample-based approach, less so much of the kind of reliance on the buzzy analog synth stuff. It's my favorite beat making of LP's career.
Really?
Some of just the actual like kick snare patterns and the way the drums are programmed and the way the sampling is done, it's so artful, and it's such a deep understanding of how low end works in a mix, and so controlled and powerful. And also, the politics of the record are pretty amazing. The concepts of the songs all really hit hard.
Can I tell you something for real? This is true.
Mm-hmm.
So when I listen to music in my car, it's always all the way up.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm listening to this in my car and it's that loud,
mm-hmm.
it's doing things to my rectum. I'm not kidding. Okay, and you know I'm not kidding either.
Yeah, right.
So I swear to God, last week, and I don't know if it's related. You know when you get a tick on your eye?
Yeah.
I swear to God, first time in my life, I had one in my butthole. And I wonder if it's related.
I don't know. You got to see you should maybe.
If I ever meet either of these guys, that's the story I'm going in with.
I'm a headphone listener, and this is an incredible headphone record.
It is.
It's really like so much detail on the productions, and I mean, Yankee and the Brave, the first song that kicks in, that is one of my all-time most favorite hip hop beats. Like that is just the hardest hitting beat. The drums are just so epic on it. There's one particular, like a hit on like a tom or something. It comes on like the end of 3. There's one particular tom hit in the middle of that beat that just glues the beat together.
This is where having fucking music on the show would be sick.
Yeah, right. But it's just the way the kick drum just knocks so satisfyingly. It's the amazing verses. What a classic hip hop track. Just
and Ooh La La is even better. So low slung and jazzy and super playful. Last time around, there was nothing like this on the record.
Yeah, and Ooh La La has the great guests on it because it's kind of based on a sample from the Gangstar song Dwick, which is a great old hip hop gem. And it features, that song was Gangstar featuring Nice and Smooth, Greg Nice. So Greg Nice kind of reprises his role here, and Premier kind of does some guest turntabling, and another one, just the crazy low end definition, and the beat is just so like crushingly heavy. I got asked to do to work on a TV show that we ended up pitching stuff, and we ended up kind of not getting the gig. But the producers were looking for stuff like, can you make stuff that sounds like Run the Jewels? It's like, no, actually, no, I can't. Turns out that no.
Yeah, in my sleep.
Turns out you really need to have invested your whole life in making amazing hip hop beats. If you really want to do that.
I love Holy Kalamafuck. That is just musically, that is a dizzying song.
Yeah, that's one of the more avant-garde backing tracks on that.
It's almost, I would almost describe it as proggy.
Yeah, that one they're really stretching out. I mean, again, this record does a lot of different things. So there's songs like Ooh La La that are kind of the catchy kind of. Ooh La La was kind of a pop single. I think it went like top 10 or something on the pop charts. And Holy Kalamafuck is really artsy, forward-thinking hip hop, and then Goonies versus E.T., Walking in the Snow. I mean, this shares a lot with the pacing of Run the Jewels too, where the first half of the record is almost unbearably intense, and then it kind of downshifts a little bit. With that song Just with Pharrell Williams and Zach De La Rocha. Yeah, I think that song's classic. You do? I love that song. See, I'm not quite as on board. Yeah, I think that's another one where the real artistry, and that's the beat making in it. The beat making in that's so, just the little details, like the hi-hat pattern on that, like just the way everything kind of fits together. And I love the vocal hook, look at all these slave masters posing on your dollar. The song, like the meaning really comes through. I don't like the synth work. I think that's what turns me off to it. I think what you're talking about is the 808. The Pharrell, you're talking about Pharrell stuff. That's all LP. I think Pharrell only guested on vocals. Oh, okay. I think you're talking about the 808. It's built on the most of the track is basically very minimal. Actually, I've studied this track a bunch, and this is like one of my favorite songs. It's to deconstruct it and do something. Kind of, yeah. Because I love the production so much that it's like how is he pulling this? And it's pretty simple. There's not really a ton of elements in it. There's like that 808 kick. That's I think that's what you're referring to as a synth. It's basically just a ringing 808, and then there's that very stop treating me like a child. And there's that very simple hi-hat pattern, and then which then kind of goes into like a trap style, or like a Miami bass style hip hop roll kind of thing. And there has the really cool the vocal samples. There's this guy named Nicholas Ryan Grant, who's kind of like a opera trained singer, and he's starting to guest on a lot of records. He's kind of like a vocal texturalist. So all those samples and were created by him, and they kind of made this kind of almost like choir out of his voice. So yeah, I like that song a lot. I've heard that song a million times. I'm not a huge fan of that, but we should definitely talk about Pulling the Pin. Oh yes, that's the Josh Homme thing. Josh Homme and Mavis Staples. Yeah. So I remember this was basically the soundtrack of the May 2020 riots, and rightly so. It is an incredibly powerful piece of work. Yeah, the Mavis Staples vocal gives it real gravitas. Yes. Apparently Josh Homme, they had the track and they just kind of went in and worked with them for a day because they're friends, and LP's a big fan. of Queens and of Josh's work in general. So it was just kind of a day of collaboration at Josh's studio. He's not like, you can detect his guitar stuff on it, but it's not like his presence on it isn't totally overwhelming.
No.
It's pretty subtle.
Yeah, nobody's presence is really overwhelming on that track.
Yeah, I love the Mavis Staples vocalist. She's
it's great.
80 years old. Badass.
And then it closes with a few words for the firing squad, which is great.
Yeah, that's big, ambitious, like huge dystopian, like crazy. That's the most experimental thing on there. This record's so good to me, and this is kind of everything I want.
It's shorter, it's sturdier, it's more solid. It's not my favorite of their records, but it's certainly up there. The first side's as intense as anything on the second record, but then the second side for me doesn't quite hold up in the same way. I'm really psyched for the fifth record. This one I give 4 stars.
I gave this one 5. So
really?
They have half of their catalog are 5-star records.
Okay, so here's the thing for me: the 2 and 4, which are clearly, when we talk about the top 3 albums, clearly those are going to be in there. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, they have 4 fucking records. So,
yeah.
But
this one is kind of like Wordle. There's only really one. Right. There's only one way to order these.
So yeah, that's true.
Actually, 2, because then guys are different.
So there were a few songs that if they're not perfect to me. 2 and 4 are just short of perfect to me. Mm-hmm. But I think it's possible that their best stuff is ahead of them. Anyway, 2020 also brought us from the Cyberpunk 2077 video game No Save Point. This is a great song.
Yeah, that one's cool.
So this has a pretty sick musical underpinning that actually sounds like filing cabinets being dragged across a tile floor. It's not as life-changing as the Pac-Man theme song, or the Bruckner and Garcia version for that matter, but it's still a very good song from a video game. I give it 3.5 stars.
Kind of made me want to play the video game.
Yeah.
So I gave it 3, but yeah, it's pretty good. It's one of the 3.5's fair too. It's one of their better B-side things or extra things.
And 2021 was dead quiet, and so far nothing new in 22, which brings us to the present moment. So let's talk about the shape of their arc. Mm-hmm. Pure zigzag. So for whatever reason, the odd number albums are middling and seem primed for playlist cherry picking, while their even albums are jaw-drop worthy masterpieces. It's odd, and I'm sure totally unintentional, but that's the career trajectory.
I have the arc a little bit different because to me, it's like the 3 is the only one that's kind of a dip. Like 1 starts off at a pretty good level, then they get a little bit better, and then 3 kind of falls off, but then 4 is right back to where they were. So
I really like these guys. You like them a little bit more than me.
Yeah, I would say
that's fair to say. Yeah. So the top 3 albums, mine is number 3 is 1, number 2 is 4, number 1 is 2, and the worst album is 3.
Oh, that's confusing.
It is.
All right, let's see if I can do mine in less confusing fashion. My third most favorite Run the Jewels album is Run the Jewels. So far, this is not less confusing.
This is not.
My second favorite album by them is Run the Jewels 2, and my favorite is the most recent one, Run the Jewels 4.
That's interesting.
And my least favorite is Run the Jewels 3, but I actually still like it.
It's interesting. I mean, I really like 4, but it's just interesting that that you would prefer 2.
I think that maybe goes a little bit to like what I value in these. I think I like the diversity of 4 and the fact that there's kind of more pop stuff on it and just the sheer sonics of it. 2 is also, I have them both at 5 stars, so you could really flip a coin.
Right.
2 is kind of the more probably artsy, ambitious record. 4 is maybe a little bit more accessible. I think I like the best stuff on 4 maybe a little better than I like the best stuff on 2, but again,
Look, these guys can basically write their own ticket at this point. They've got a very bright future. I hope they stick to every single ideal they've had because they haven't taken a misstep. So it's fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us for this incredible look at Run the Jewels, this top quality masterpiece of an episode. The link to the playlist is in the show notes and also on our website, discography.com. Send us a voice memo using the link in the show notes and let us know what you think.
And come harass us in the Facebook discussion group thread.
That also would be incredible. So, don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Discograffiti or on Instagram at DiscographityPod. Don't forget to rate the podcast 5-star ratings only, please, especially if you listen to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify.
And again, word of mouth is the best thing we have going for us, so tell a friend.
We work really, really hard on these shows. We do a lot of research. It's not just opinions. So, yeah, it would be very helpful. Just send a great episode along to somebody you know and love. Doesn't cost anybody anything. We can't wait to give you a lot more free, top quality, 5-star rated material from here until when we die. Thank you so much for tuning in.
We will see you next time
on Discography.